to 2015 version of Classroom in a Book. We're on chapter 12, or lesson 12, page 334. And we're going to be using effects and graphic styles. So both the books are doing pretty much the same thing, but with different images. So let's get started. So this is, and actually when you open the files, it's going to ask you for Franklin Gothic URW. You need to sync the fonts from Typekit. So when that dialog box, the picture of a 336 opens, just go to Find Fonts, and it will find it for you and sync it. It's going to take a minute. So you should probably pause the video, do that when you open the files, so everything looks good. And if it doesn't, you need to find, you could probably use Franklin or Franklin Gothic. You can probably find a matching one similar, but try to use Typekit if you can. So once you've changed that, we're going to kind of create this poster. Really cool. You guys already did a poster, but this is kind of cool effects that you guys can do, different treatments and stuff. So when next time you do have to make a poster, this is what you can do. So we're going to go to the start file, and we're going to rename it as jazzfestival.ai. And we're changing appearance and appearance attributes. So it's taking your fills and your strokes and just pushing them past and making them more unique with different sections. We'll talk about, there's Illustrator effects and Photoshop effects, and we'll talk about those when those happen. So we're going to, when we can, select the trumpets shape here. And with the trumpet shape still selected, we're going to do select same fill color. This is a good way to find all the things together, so you get everything together. We're going to pull up the appearance, which is the sun looking guy. And what we're going to do is you kind of have two different swatches. So under the fill, you're going to click, and it's going to open up your swatches. We're going to find trumpet, which should be this orange color, and we're going to change the color and press escape. And then we're going to go to stroke. We're going to take that stroke weight to 0. We're going to keep it at none. And then clicking, and we're going to click the word stroke. It's going to open up a panel, and you can also kind of change the weight there too as well. So we're going to click the disclosure triangle, which is that drop down box under fill, which is actually already open. It shows the opacity. So we're going to double click the word opacity, and it's at 90. And we're going to make it to drag that to 100, so it's opaque. And press escape to kind of get out of that. We're going to click on the visibility eyeball under the left of drop shadow, and we're going to hide that. With the drop shadow row selected, ooh, that's a tongue twister. So we're going to select it, see it's highlighted, and we're going to just delete it because we don't want it. And we'll just delete that right there. And while the trumpet shape is selected, we're going to do a Command G or Control G to group, or you can go to Object Group, and as you notice, your appearance says Group now, and we can double click the word Contents, it'll pull that back up. So we're on page 341 and applying another stroke or fill. So with the trumpet group selected, we're going to click Add a New Fill, which is these boxes here. And once we're going to go pull up and we're going to find swatches, and we're going to find the pattern swatch named paper to fill it, which is that right there. And it kind of has different look. So we're going to double click on opacity right under that paper one we pulled into. And we're going to choose multiply. These are blending modes, and they change the way how light views through layers or fills. If you're a Photoshop person, this would make very, very much sense. So we're going to just deselect and do Command S to save. The next we're going to add another stroke to the text using Appearance panel. So we're going to pull up our layers, and we're going to click on the eyeball for text, and it's going to bring all this text up. There's a bunch of different options. We're going to select the Type tool, keyboard shortcut T in the Tools panel, and we're going to double click on the word Jazz to select it. And you see it's selected, it's kind of highlighted there. In the Appearance panel, you notice that there's no stroke and no fill, and we cannot add another stroke. Because these things are dimmed, we can't do anything. So select the selection tool and notice the word type is right there. So once we click that, it changed that. So with the type object selected right there, not the text, we can add multiple fills. So we're going to add a new fill. And we're going to change so there's one that says characters too. And with the fill attribute row selected right there, we're going to change it to the blue-green gradient. This will fill. Then we're going to click the Add New Fill again. To look at how the existing fill row appears, we're going to click on the bottom fill row, and we're going to change it to paper. And press Escape to hide that. So you see it still has that gradient. You notice the swatch doesn't show in the artwork because it's beneath the fill, so remember this is working in the hierarchy. So we're going to click the disclosure triangle to the left of the appearance rows in the appearance panel to hide their properties. So when they're to the right, it hides the properties. So now we have something that looks like this. And we're going to reorder the appearance attributes. So this is, we're just going to click and drag this up like so. And we're going to click, we're going to open up the attribute. Click on opacity, opens this dialog box. We're going to change the blending mode to multiplicity again. So it has that texture. We're going to do a Command S. So the next thing we're going to do is using live effects. So we can add different effects and do some cool stuff. So there's Illustrator effects, and once these is finished saving, go to Effect. There's Illustrator effects and raster effects. So Illustrator effects, you can apply it to anything, and it keeps the vector, you can scale up and down, versus raster effects kind of add pixels, so you really don't have the infinite scalability. You can read more about the difference. You can Google it to get more information done. You also like using filters in Photoshop. So with the selection tool, we're going to select the trumpet, and we're going to go to Effect, Stylize, Drop Shadow. It's going to open up a dialog box. So there's multiplicity, and we're going to change the opacity from 60 to 100. The X offset to 0.03, the Y offset to be 0.03, blur 0.04, and darkness, we're going to select darkness and select it to 50. And you should definitely play around with different effects and stuff. And this says spot colors, blah, blah, blah. You'll say okay. But play around with different effects on your own time, because you can, again, read through the text, but it won't help you learn to do it. So we can edit the effects. So we're with our trumpet selected, we can double click on the drop shadow and it opens up that box again. And we can just change that opacity to 75. So we can always change things if we want. So let's do, while this trumpet is selected, we're going to try something. We're going to ungroup them. And once you do that, the drop shadow is gone, because you can only do these to grouped objects, these filter effects, or to a single object. It can't apply to a group. You can't apply to a bunch of different shapes that are not grouped together. Let's do a Command Z to get rid of that. It regroups them. The next is we're going to stylize text with a warped effect. So we are going to click on May 10th through 17th with our selection tool, keyboard shortcut V, and we're going to choose Effect, Warp, Flag. No, we've done this, not fish. We've done this before, and you've played with them. This is a different way to do that. So we're going to open up this flag effect. We're going to take the bend to 20. And it kind of just gives it a soft little change to it. And remember, you can play around with the sliders to see how it works. Click OK. So here we can see, we can hide it, and we can see how the text is changing. So we're going to keep it unselected. We're going to keep our keyboard shortcut T for the type tool, and we're going to change the date from to the 18th, right there. And we're going to select all the text, right there. We're going to change the fill color to white in the control panel. So we're up here in the control panel, we're changing the fill color to white. And you notice the effect isn't mentioned there, so the selection tool, we're going to select it again, and we're going to click on the warping of the flag. And since the text is white, we can't see it. That's fine. But we just want to keep it selected. So we're just going to ignore this for now and do a Command S. Move on to the next. So next we're going to apply an offset path effect. We're on page 349. So we're going to click on, once this finishes saving, we're going to click on the word jazz. So you have jazz selected. And in the appearance panel, we're going to click on the word stroke panel to pull that open. And we're going to change the color to the white swatch. And we're going to take the stroke weight to 1, and it did that. Now we're going to go to change the stroke attributes. So we're going to go to Effect, Path, Offset Path. That's not what I want. Offset Path. So open up this box, and we're going to change the offset to 0.04. Keep the joins at miter and limit 4 and click OK. So it kind of gives it a little space to it, offsets it. As you can see, it's placed it there so you can hide it and look at the eyeball. So we'll do a Command S to save, and that's it for part 1. The next part we're going to look at applying Photoshop effects and whatnot. So I'll see you for the next video.